My plan today takes the best ideas from Republicans and the best ideas from Democrats and combines them together to form a new plan. From the Republicans, we take ideas based in free enterprise, competition, and economic growth. And from the Democrats, we take a prioritization of our public school systems and a belief that government can be part of the solution. But I think very importantly, we add in something that both Republican and Democratic plans have lacked, and that's hope. A belief that we don't have to accept the status quo. A belief that in what is the most prosperous country in the world, that we don't have to tolerate poverty and despair in our cities. And the three legs of the plan are bringing jobs to our cities, improving education, and restoring the American dream. And when it comes to bringing jobs to our cities, we need to take radical action to attract both small and big businesses into town. We've had some local successes with Merit 7 here in Norwalk, with South Stamford, but we actually need to start bringing businesses into some of the disadvantaged areas of our cities. That's why my first part of the jobs plan calls for a true implementation of enterprise zones. Now, there have been a lot of things called enterprise zones, but the idea has never really been tried. What an enterprise zone would say is that if you are an existing or new business in one of these zones, that you will pay no federal taxes, no state taxes, and your property tax will be paid for by the federal government. So if you're a business moving in there, if you're an entrepreneur, you won't pay capital gains tax. If you're selling to the consumer, they don't have to pay a sales tax. This is a radical idea that will make our cities compelling for businesses to move into and will help current businesses that are there as well, because we don't want to bias new against existing businesses. This is a radical idea that can actually help give our cities a competitive advantage. The second part of the jobs plan actually says we need to start clustering. And this is an economic theory that other cities have successfully brought. It says that every city can have a specialized industry where you get enough businesses, enough workers, and enough know-how, and it becomes self-sustaining. Think Silicon Valley when it comes to high tech, or the Boston I-95-128 corridor. These are places where they're now self-sustaining. We could do the exact same here. And as Congressman, what I want to do is work with both state and local leaders to help make that happen. Whether it's financial services in Stamford and Norwalk, and shipping or green energy in Bridgeport, we need to decide what kind of industry we want to create a cluster around and then start that process. And we could take the best practices from other cities that have done it. Now, the second plank of the plan is on education. And this is where I think both Republicans and Democrats on the federal level have been getting it wrong, because we've wanted to tell cities what they need to do, whether it's the Republicans with No Child Left Behind or the Democrats with Common Core. And what we need to do instead is do two big things. First is we need to actually take some of the lessons of charter schools and bring them to public schools. Now, I'm a big fan of charter schools, but we can't charterize the entire system. We need a vibrant public school system. And I'll give you an example. Curriculum is one of the things that happens in charter schools that we should allow in our public schools, is experimentation with curriculum, to allow cross-disciplinary teaching. Taking the combination of flexibility and innovation, we're going to allow the people who are going to improve education, the teachers, the parents, and the students, not the bureaucrats in Washington, to actually determine how we're going to fix education. And the final point in the plan has to do with the American dream. And this one isn't a policy. It's more about leadership. Our politicians right now, from Barack Obama to Dan Malloy to Jim Himes, have been preaching divisiveness, talking about income inequality, instead of talking about social mobility. What we need to talk about is the fact that a kid who grew up in Bridgeport, where his dad was a cop and his mom was a secretary, could stand before you today running for Congress. The American dream needs to be something that all of our people believe in. And I got to tell you, as I've been knocking on doors in Stamford, Norwalk, and Bridgeport, I talk to a lot of people who still believe that. But I talk to a lot of people who have given up as well. People who say, you know what, it doesn't matter how hard I work, the system is stacked against me. What a debilitating belief that is. We need leaders who are going to say once again that yes, through hard work and dedication, you can get ahead, that your kids can have a better life than you did, And of course, we need the policies to back it up on jobs and education. But we need leaders who are going to stop being divisive and start leading with the American dream once again. It is the type of thing that we get started with it now, but it's something that's not going to be done in 3 months. But is it something that can take place in the next 2 years? Absolutely. So that's what I would look at the time horizon in years, not months. But it would have such a dramatic impact, if affected, that it is worth the investment of time to get done.
But I also think what you will see is once you get that federal government commitment, local leaders are ready to go. And the state can stop investing hundreds of millions of dollars, giving it in corporate welfare from one company to another, and invest that into our enterprise zones. I think you will see very rapid movement and growth in a place like Norwalk and Bridgeport. The question is, can we get the federal commitment? And that's what makes this different. That's why it's different than what we've done in Connecticut. That's why it's different than what they do in New York, because it acknowledges that that federal partner has not been there, and we need them.